Hello, my name is Samara Joy.
Hey, it's Gregory Porter.
This is Kelly Clarkson.
I'm Nora Jones.
This is David Arkenstone. You're listening to The Sounds of Christmas
Podcast.
Hi, I'm Ken Kessler, and welcome to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. If you're new to this podcast, I want to start by saying thanks for joining us. If you're not new, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Now, to avoid any confusion, I want to start off by saying there won't be any music played here. This is a place for conversation. I'll talk about Christmas music and some related topics, sometimes by myself and sometimes with guests. If you're looking for music, just go to soundsofchristmas.com and click on the tree or the player on the front page or on the Listen Now page. We play the best variety of Christmas music all year long. Well, except in October, when we play the best variety of Halloween music. There has not been much Christmas music. That's understandable, as Christmas music takes up a pretty small part of the calendar, at least for most people, and non-Christmas music reigns for at least 10 months of the year, and really it continues through much of the time when Christmas music is also coming out. Still, the last few years have seen some Christmas music appear among the Grammy nominations, and some have actually won, which is very rare. This year, Samara Joy's album, A Joyful Holiday, won the Grammy for Best Jazz Vocal Album, and her song, Twinkle Twinkle Little Me, from that album, won the Grammy for Best Jazz Performance. While that's all the Christmas music that won this year, there were a couple other Christmas music nominees. Gregory Porter's album, Christmas Wish, was nominated for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album. Nora Jones' album, Visions, won for that one. Sage's song, Silent Night, was nominated for Best Arrangement, Instrumental or A Cappella, and that Grammy went to Jacob Collier, John Legend, and Tori Kelly for their collaboration on Bridge Over Troubled Water. Last year, Pentatonic's album, Holidays Around the World, was nominated for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album, and Just Six were nominated for Best Arrangement, Instrumental, or A Cappella with their version of Angels We Have Heard on High. In 2023, 3 of the 5 nominees for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album were Christmas albums. Kelly Clarkson, When Christmas Comes Around, Nora Jones, I Dream of Christmas, and Pentatonic's Evergreen. Michael Bublé actually won in that category that year for his non-Christmas album, Higher. The year before, when I first did a podcast episode about Christmas music at the Grammys, Chanticleer won a Grammy for Best Engineered Album Classical for their album Chanticleer Sings Christmas. That's what got me to wondering about Christmas music and the Grammys in the first place. Since we're now between the Grammys and the Oscars, I thought I'd revisit the former and then delve into the latter. So, how many other Christmas albums have won Grammys? Well, plenty have been nominated, but it looks like only 7 have actually won awards before Samara Joy. By the way, this information was a little tricky to research, so I apologize if I have missed any or otherwise got things wrong. I'm not sure this one counts, but it seems like an appropriate way to start. In 1974, Bing Crosby's version of White Christmas won a special Grammy Award, being inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. He previously received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1963. He was not nominated for any Grammys. To be fair, the Grammy Awards were first awarded in 1959, and Bing's last appearance on the pop charts was for Adeste Fidelis in 1960. First Grammy Award for Christmas music appears to have been given out in 1967 for the soundtrack to the television special How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This award wasn't really for the music, though, which was actually sung by Thurl Ravenscroft, who was not credited for the song at the time. The Grammy actually was in the spoken word category, and it was for Boris Karloff for his narration included on the soundtrack. By the way, this isn't Boris's only connection to Christmas. Beginning in 1940, he used to dress up as Santa every Christmas to hand out presents to physically disabled children in a Baltimore hospital. The next Grammy for Christmas music didn't happen for over 20 years. In 1988, Larnell Harris won the award for Best Gospel Performance for his album, which was simply called Christmas. This was his 5th Grammy Award overall. His first 2 were shared with Sandy Patty. A few years later, Christmas appeared at the Grammys again. This time, Take 6 won for Best Vocal Jazz Performance for their album He Is Christmas. This was their 5th Grammy Award, and since then, they have won 3 more. In 1999, Shirley Caesar won the Grammy for Best Traditional Soul Gospel Album for Christmas with Shirley Caesar. She won a total of 12 Grammy Awards, and 5 of those were for this same category. A few years later, B.B. King won the Grammy for Best Traditional Blues Album for A Christmas Celebration of Hope. This was his 12th Grammy, and he would go on to win 3 more. In 2007, the Grammy for Best Musical Album for Children went to the Muppets and their album A Red and Green Christmas. When it was re-released in 2011, it included a bonus track that featured Andrea Bocelli. Stephen Colbert won the Grammy for Best Comedy Album for A Colbert Christmas, The Greatest Gift of All. Elvis Costello, Jon Stewart, John Legend, Toby Keith, and Willie Nelson also appeared on this one, but it's not for everyone. Hard to believe that's it, isn't it? I felt the same, so I went to Grammy.com and searched for some of the most well-known makers of Christmas music. I started with Nat King Cole. He won 1 Grammy. That was for Best Performance by a Top 40 artist for the song Midnight Flyer in 1959. He was nominated 6 other times, but none of those were for Christmas music. However, he was awarded a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1990. Burl Ives also won 1 Grammy. This was for Best Country and Western Recording for Funny Way of Laughing in 1963. He was nominated for 3 others, but none were Christmas songs. Elvis Presley won 3 Grammys, 2 for How Great Thou Art and 1 for He Touched Me. He was nominated 11 other times, but none of those were for Christmas music. Frank Sinatra won 9 Grammys and was nominated 22 other times. None of those were for Christmas music, though. Andy Williams was nominated for 6 Grammys, none for Christmas music, and didn't win any of those. On the Grammy website, they have him confused with the Andy Williams who plays drums for Casting Crowns, who did win a Grammy for their album Life Song. Dean Martin was only nominated for 1 Grammy, and that was for his album Everybody Loves Somebody. He did receive a posthumous Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2009. Johnny Mathis was nominated for 5 Grammys, and while he hasn't won any, his most recent nomination was for his album Sending You a Little Christmas from 2013. Percy Faith won 2 Grammys and was nominated 5 other times, but none for Christmas music. Ray Conniff won 1 and had 2 other nominations, but none for Christmas music. Perry Como had 1 win and 3 other nominations, but none for Christmas music. Tony Bennett won 19 Grammys and had been nominated 22 other times. His album A Swingin' Christmas with the Count Basie Big Band was nominated in 2008. I started to wonder at this point if I was looking for artists whose work was too old, so I tried more recent artists. Chip Davis and Mannheim Steamroller have been nominated for 5 Grammys and won 1. Still Knocked from their first Christmas album was nominated, and that's the only Christmas music from Mannheim Steamroller that has been nominated. They won a Grammy for their New Age album Fresh Air 7 in 1992. While they've sold millions of records, Trans-Siberian Orchestra has not been nominated for a Grammy. Mariah Carey has won 5 Grammys and has been nominated 29 other times, but none of those were for Christmas music. Harry Connick Jr. has won 3 Grammys and had 13 other nominations, but none were for Christmas music. Michael Bublé has won 5 Grammys and been nominated for 7 others. His album Christmas was nominated in 2013. And that's really about it. Let's shift from the Grammys to the Oscars. Like the Grammys, research for this was a little tricky, as the Academy has changed the names of music categories quite a bit over the years, but here's what I've been able to find. First, and most recent, nothing for this year or last year. In fact, nothing for like the last 20 years. Here's a little of how music at the Academy Awards began. The Oscar for Best Original Song was introduced as a category at the 7th Academy Awards back in February of 1935. Nominations are made by Academy members who are songwriters and composers, and the winners are chosen by the Academy membership as a whole. 15 songs are shortlisted before nominations are announced. And that's how it started. Still, from 1935, it took 7 years for Christmas music to show up. In 1942, White Christmas from the movie Holiday Inn won an Oscar. And believe it or not, that's it. For the most part, Christmas movies just don't show up on Oscar ballots. And of the ones that do, Christmas movie music shows up even less. In 1970, Thank You Very Much from Scrooge was nominated for Best Original Song. It doesn't really have anything to do with Christmas, but like Die Hard, it wouldn't have happened without Christmas. So it was Christmas dependent. It's the song Scrooge hears, sung by people who are relieved they don't have to pay him and won't lose their homes because he's dead. In 1990, Somewhere in My Memory from Home Alone was nominated. In 2004, Believe from the Polar Express was nominated. Both of those were nominated in the category of Best Original Song, but neither won. There have been a few other music categories that have seen Christmas music pop up. Holiday Inn was also nominated for Best Original Score. In 1944, Christmas Holiday was nominated for Best Scoring of a Musical Picture. Christmas Holiday is a film noir crime movie which starred Gene Kelly, and while it starts on Christmas Eve, it has very little to do with Christmas. In 1947, The Bishop's Wife was nominated for Best Scoring of a Dramatic or Comedy Picture. In 1961, Babes in Toyland was nominated for Best Scoring of a Musical Motion Picture. Scrooge and Home Alone were both nominated for Best Original Score in 1970 and 1990, respectively. In 1996, The Preacher's Wife was nominated for Best Original Musical or Comedy Score. So, what does all this mean? Well, I'm pretty sure for the artists, winning a Grammy or an Oscar means a lot. Probably for their family, friends, and fans, too. But I don't think it necessarily means anything for Christmas music. I get in the neighborhood of 1,000 new Christmas songs sent to me every year for the Sounds of Christmas station. And Spotify says that they add about 60,000 songs to their platform every day. That's almost 22 million songs a year. To be recognized by the music industry for your work out of millions of others is quite an achievement, but doesn't mean those millions of other songs aren't good or even great. And subjectively, some may say better. The same is true of Christmas music. I think it's terrific that Samara Joy won a Grammy this year for her Christmas album and another for a song from that album. I love that just a couple years ago, 3 of the 5 nominees for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album were Christmas albums. I also think there's a good chance that this kind of thing might get more people to listen to those albums, even in February. And I'm all for spreading the Christmas music around. Thanks so much for listening, helping me share some Christmas spirit, and for continuing to support the Sounds of Christmas station and podcast. I already told you how to listen to the station, and you're listening to the podcast now, so my work here is just about done. All of our episodes are available on the Sounds of Christmas website. Just click the podcast tab. And we also have a Linktree page that lists most, if not all, of the sites that stream the Sounds of Christmas podcast. So you can click on that, scroll down, find your favorite, and then click on over and subscribe, and you'll never miss another episode. If you have comments or suggestions on this episode, previous episodes, or the Sounds of Christmas station, feel free to reach out to me on social media or through the website. If you're listening to this episode on your phone, you can also click the Send Us a Text Message link and connect that way. Thanks again. And may you always believe in Santa Claus.